What's up, YouTube? Tuesday, June 27th. Just a reminder, we'll be in North Carolina like 1 month from today, right? I think the 28th until the 1st. We'll be hanging out with This Karate Life for Jeremy. So if you guys are in the area, send us a message. We'll probably do a meetup on that Saturday, the 29th. Anyways, we've been asked a couple questions on our last vlog. First one is our grappling experience. So I've been doing jiu-jitsu for I think 5 years now. I train about 3 to 5 times a week consistently, and I am a purple belt. We've also both have judo experience in the past, a couple years. I'm ranked in that as well. Aaron's been grappling, I guess, about 2 years now or so, a year and a half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But then your youth was spent like wrestling with all your buddies. Right?
Yeah, like that's all we did. Like during lunch here in South Texas, all we did was wrestle.
Yeah,
like it was just basically either one-on-one or groups of 5 people trying to knock over another group of 5.
So like
that was lunchtime. That was my whole life.
Your youth was actually the Okinawan youth of Texas. Right?
Yeah, dude.
That's all
we did. Yeah, we got sweaty and nasty during lunch. We'd eat and then try to knock the crap out of each other, and then
that's what builds warriors, man.
Yeah, that's what's up, dude. So like, yeah, so we've been doing all that kind of stuff like forever, and then like I did, football like junior high school and stuff like that. So there's a lot of I played a lot of sports. So.
Yeah, so we're coordinated in that sense,
Yeah.
and we do private lessons with a wrestling instructor who's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So yeah, we've. And his other question was, how does that translate to karate, and why do we do that? I guess why is it practical? I think we always say that karate happens within the clinch, right? So,
yeah. So like, it's always been our premise that the katas are really about clinch fighting, and like all those movements are really about what you're doing, different ways to manipulate appendages and yourself around your opponent within the clinch. Right, it's in the grip. So to us, it wasn't about just parrying and stuff like that. To us, it was about what to do when you're grappling with somebody. So the whole like punch kick part of karate, like to me that's just like that's only half of it. Like
it's not that it's not there. It's not. It's that it's not the only thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So like I mean like if you look, and it seems like it became more apparent to me that way because like if you look at the katas, like how many times are there punches, how many times are there kicks, how many times is there a kick in a kata,
right?
So so to me it all looks like if you like you do it in the air and stuff like that, but I mean that's just to get the muscle memory down. I mean that's all it is.
Yeah,
like Sensei always said was that's the end of the movement, right? Like that's like the follow through on the swinging of the bat.
Yeah, the technique happens in between.
In between is where the technique is. So, ageuke is not that end part with just that. That's just to tell you that you're thrusting your forearm up and through and over your head. Doesn't matter if it's a punch coming down on you or a bat or you're running it into somebody's chin.
So we get this question a lot. Then I'll put you on the spot. Then why practice kata at all? Why not just drill with a partner without kata?
Because you need that muscle memory building tool, right? Like you don't just like, you know, when you're doing calculus and stuff like that and differential equations, when you're studying organic chem and all this kind of stuff, you don't just go like, oh yeah, that's a benzene ring. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's carboxyl group. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me just go and do work now. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? You have to like create that memorization, right? Like in school, like when I was studying pharmacy, you had to first be able to memorize and regurgitate the information, and then be able to apply it, right? Because the application is the part that shows like your intelligence and your ability to learn, right? But you at least have to first be able to commit it to memory, so it doesn't take you long to think and reproduce it, right? So you don't want to have to think long about doing the movement, so you practice, you replicate the movement as much as possible over and over again. And like we've said before, it's like shadow boxing, right? It's just like the way what it became and what it probably was to me is probably like far from what it was originally, right? Like if you think about it as a grappling art, then stuff wasn't all about, you know, like being super rigid and stuff like that. It was probably way more organic, like way more flowy, you know, kind of a deal. And
it's just hard to standardize when it's so flowy, right? I guess that's
well, you can't teach like body structure and like weight and pivoting, right? It's like, you know, driving the hip forward meant like, you know, at the end of the movement, at the end of the punch, what it teaches you to do by getting that low stance and that drive is it teaches you how to like push through something, how to put your weight into it,
right?
But that's at the end already. That's once you've already finished and committed, right? Because the goal is not to punch and then stand away. The goal is to punch and then continue with that. Either grapple them and put them on the floor, or throw or something like that. It wasn't to just like box them, right? Because it wasn't boxing.
Right.
It was about
trying to finish it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you don't want to let go of them once you have a handle on them, right? Because then you just reset.
Yeah.
You want to finish that, right? So you do it because it's like any repetitive motion task. The more you do it, the quicker, faster, more efficient you become at it. So the thing is, like, there's so much, like, right? There's so much. People figured out so many different ways to do stuff. So you have to develop like a methodology or like a system to teach that stuff. Like people can remember it, right? So you teach it in those patterns. Right. And then you do it in the different directions because that teaches you, well, yes, you know, you can do it on the left side, and then yes, obviously you can do that on the same thing on the right side.
You mean you're not being attacked by 20 people?
No, of course not. That's not nonsensical. Yeah,
I mean, visualizing the wrong stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, visualization like that's cool. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, like I mean, there's lots of times where like, you know, if like sometimes you overextend on a punch and you land on your opponent, right? Like you miss completely, so your hand gets more extended or your arm becomes more extended into like around their neck or something like that. Right. So I mean, that's all it was. It was just a way to replicate stuff. When it happened, it was like, well, here, you take this, we're practicing this stuff, go practice it by yourself. Well, it's hard to practice doing a punch and like simulate arm drags and stomping in a knee and stuff like that, like without a person there. So they just, it's just a way to learn it, man. That's really all it was. People don't need to not get like so hung up on stuff. Like I think that's what the real aggravation is people are like, no, it's supposed to be that way. And it's like, well, no, it's not.
It's just a muscle memory.
It's supposed to be that way. Yeah, it's just a tool to learn it, man. That's really all it is.
Moving on, stances and breathing. So someone asked us, do we practice those? And our response is, our sensei always said that beginners talk in stances and advanced people talk in posture. So we did have a period of like 5+ years where we were just drilling kata in deep stances. And stances.
Yeah, that was incredibly annoying. I mean, it was good. Yeah, just in case you're watching this, sensei. Yeah, I agree that it had to be done.
Yeah.
But that was yeah.
But that built the fundamentals for us, and now I say what you see now on film and in our vlogs our stance training is squats, back squats, front squats, lunges, deadlifts. Those are all things that are working your stabilizers and creating a stronger frame. Right?
Yeah. It also helps you like learn how to like use your breath we do as much stuff as we can without using a belt, right? Because you want to create that like internal pressure to be able to support the weight, which to us, like, you know, a lot of times it's like you do, especially like that's why we started doing like a bunch of front squatting, because that's like supporting the weight of somebody pressing down on top of you, right? So you need to learn how to do that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but that's what I feel like is beneficial to us now.
Definitely.
Right.
There's a time and a place to sit in a horse stance for 30 minutes, but sometimes you just have to front squat. 200 plus pounds.
Right, because everything's going to be more of an active movement, right? And then that stuff can't be like, you know, super heavy all the time. Sometimes it needs to be more dynamic, so you need to do stuff that's light also.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's like the same thing with the katas, right? Like that end of that stance is really about, it's to solidify your follow through, right? It's to key in on the follow through. That's where you want your weight to go through, right? You want your weight to end up forward, pushing through your opponent, and that's what that like forward stance like teaches you and stuff like that, right? How to use that. But the real part that is used is the part in the middle, right? The part where you're actually putting your body into motion. That kinetic energy is what you're. Yeah, that's it. Like, so.
One last question was Bruce Lee's recent full contact sparring footage. What's our thoughts? I want to admit that I was a big Bruce Lee fan growing up, so I watched a lot of his footage. I actually saw that one like back in middle school, and he's very fast. He was good at what he did, which was like intercepting, understanding body mechanics, and seeing indicators to intercept the strikes and stuff.
Yeah.
There was definitely a distinction between his like movie fighting and what he taught as self-defense. So there's that. On the other hand, he was also like 135 pounds wet, right? So I believe that being small and fast was very economical growing up, and now the realization of being laid on by 200 plus pound men kind of ruins that dream, right? Just you kind of keep that in mind. Like, he was good at what he did. He changed the landscape of Western martial arts, but he was also 135 pounds. So
I would agree. You know, like there's only some people are really good at transferring their energy that way through punches and kicks, and like he was quick, and like, you know, they say like speed kills, right? So as long as nobody grabbed him and put him on the floor, you know, I'm pretty sure he's probably okay. But I don't feel like everybody should take that, you know, because like he developed a system around himself.
Yeah,
essentially, right. That was for him.
That's the whole mantra, right? Eventually, karate becomes you.
Yeah,
right?
it should. Yeah, like not everybody should fight the same way. Not everybody can, right? You lean towards what's good for you. That's why, like, when we do stuff, like there's stuff that I tend to repeat because it works, because my body works better that way, right? Like, you know, it's like how they say, like, even when it comes to weightlifting, like not squatting all the way down to the, you know, to the floor is not really necessary all the time. Like whether you do like an ollie squat versus a powerlifting squat, all that kind of stuff, it's all different, and depending on what your goals are, it changes what you need to do. Not everybody's anatomy is built the same, so, you know.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're like 6'4", 250 pounds, there's no reason trying to get as fast as possible, right? You just, like,
you don't need to. You capitalize on the stuff that your body's built for. That's like a hulking mass.
Yeah, man.
Demolishing people. Just clothesline.
Yeah,
dude. Like, why? Like, you would just hard body yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and develop like that kind of inside quickness to be able to like reach out and grab somebody really fast, right?
Like a football player or a wrestler.
Yeah.
Cool. So thanks for the question. Keep them coming, and we'll keep adding them to the next vlogs. You guys are giving us more things to talk about, so that's cool. Take care.
Yeah.